Let's send it over to Dash and the analysts.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. That is exactly right. A clean 3-0 for Phoenix 1. I mean, game 1 being the closest of the 3, but games 2 and 3 just kind of compounding to make a statement here from Phoenix 1 saying we are back, we are deserved of our number 3 slot moving into playoffs, and they're going to put up a fight against the likes of C9 come next week.
Ryu definitely making a statement there. Arrow as well. Those guys, good imports on Phoenix 1.
Okay, the best thing I have to say about P1 is like it never feels like they're too desperate late game because they trust their carries so much. Their carries are just that good. So it always feels like if Dig doesn't end the game, they'll lose. And I feel like P1 never gets that type of pressure because they're okay if the length of the game elongates all the way. They're okay with however long the game goes.
Absolutely. We heard them talking there, or Irene talking there, about how in this game in particular, it was really just one lanes across the board for Phoenix 1, but how that challenge will be even greater against C9. But isolated to this matchup, let's just kind of reflect on where we were at the beginning of the day to where we ended up. Let's go back to that top lane because we focused a ton on the bot lane, but Zig here against Someday pulling out the Fizz, just showing us a little bit more of an aggressive style champion, being able to pick up that Trinity Force, playing quite well once again.
Yeah, no criticisms for Zig, honestly. I mean, he played exactly kind of how we thought he was going to play and did a very good job. You know, being that role player for the team.
Now, the big play that turned the game, or rather, not turned the game, put the nail in the coffin. 4 for 2 in the bot lane here. I'm going to pull this one up. Scar, walk me through it.
All right, on this play, top lane, it's somebody just flanked, got a really good flank position. They just killed Zig. Watch the Ori ball here. It's really hard to see. He gets a great one in four people, hits it, and that's game over.
Off of his own reposition, too, right? Just Q, immediate ult. Follows and pulls off 4 of them.
And this looked like a great position because at the start of the fight, it was 20 seconds before this, both Fizz and the Ori used ulti, and so they had 2 huge ultis down, but the Ori had so much CDR, the ulti came back up before the fight started.
For that state of the game, that was definitely the best look that Team Dignitas were going to get, and they started out really well, and that was actually a team fight saving move from Ryu right there.
Yes, absolutely. Big plays from him across the board in all 3 games. For now, though, we have some time. We're going to send it over to Jack, who's waiting on stage to get the P1 jungler's thoughts on that series.
Thanks, Dash. And yes, I'm joined by Inori. First off, congratulations on the 3-0 victory, but I have to ask you first about being put into the starting lineup at the end of the split and for the playoffs here. You had been trading a lot of time with Meteos. How did it feel to get the 3-0 here as the starter?
It feels really good. I think I was on a pretty big slump before, like going to Vancouver and coming back. I saw my team do really well without me, and that kind of like hurt my confidence, but it shouldn't, but it was just tough to take in because seeing the team succeed without you is kind of hard because you kind of lowers your value and how you felt about the team. But like slowly, the team's been supporting me a lot. Like the organization, P1, like they believed in me a lot and helped me like push me to believe in myself more, and I think that helped a lot.
Yeah, and you mentioned how you learned a lot while you were out. When you were on Phoenix 1 at first, you were a lot of the carry in most of the games. What did you learn during that time off to come back and be more successful with this 3-0?
I learned how to play Ivern, but yeah, I think watching Meteos is amazing. Like he's such a cool guy and he's such a great player and his communication is so good. And I try to take as much as I could from him by watching the scrims and put into my own style without like still changing my style. I still want to be a carry jungler, but I still want to be able to support my team if they need me to be on a support jungle.
Yeah, well, it worked out very well today. I want to ask you a little bit more about the series. I know the first game was incredibly back and forth, and then it felt as the series progressed like it got more and more controlled. How was the team progressing throughout the series as far as mentality and just general strategy?
Yeah, I think we didn't know how good Dignitas was. Like, it was just a lot of wondering like how good they are, how much they practice, and I think they improved a lot, but still I think we improved even more. So I think Dignitas is a really good team, but we just practiced so goddamn hard for this, and I think it paid off.
Yeah, and you've also been pretty outspoken about wanting to go to Vancouver. Even if you guys don't beat Cloud9 in the semifinals, you will be in Vancouver for that 3rd or 4th place match. What will it be like playing to that Vancouver crowd?
It's like, it's pretty hard to believe because like I just came in last split, and now this is the split my P1 makes the playoffs, and it's in Vancouver, so it's just pretty hard to believe, and I'm still like having trouble believing that I'm going to play in my hometown this fast, but I'm just so goddamn happy.
Yeah, and you guys have to play against Cloud9 next week. Do you have any quick thoughts on that matchup before we send it back to the desk?
Cloud9's pretty good, so I think we have to step it up a bit, but I think it'll be a good series.
All right, well, thank you very much, Inori. Congratulations on the 3-0 win, and we're going to send it back to Dash and the rest of the desk.
Thank you very much, Jack. Great to hear from Inori on what it took to achieve this 3-0, right? Pointing a lot towards the improvements that they made over this last week.
A lot of work.
And the effort that was put in by the team. Also throwing a nod towards Dignitas, because I'll even call back to the end of game one. After going off air, you turned to me and you said, is Dignitas playing better or worse than we expected? And the answer was that they're playing better. So even in the losses, we're still seeing improvement out of this roster that, has basically been on an upward swing from beginning of split to where they are now, although their season or rather split ends here today.
Yeah, I just think stylistically it's kind of a mismatch because even if Ryu didn't go crazy carry mode today, I think that their bot lane just isn't consistently strong enough to be able to pressure P1's bot lane. And so with that in mind, that's really the only super big hole unless your jungler is better than the other jungler. And I didn't think Chaser had a super great series either.
And honestly, Stunt, improvements from the game number one where we're all criticizing, and rightfully so, he's getting hit by almost all the skill shots.
Right.
Definitely marked improvements from him in the subsequent games. And we always talk about the rookie factors, right? Now he has some, playoff games that he's gone through. You saw how happy he was. He'll be more confident, moving on to their next opponent.
Yeah, I'd say across the board from Phoenix One, solid play from all of them individually. Of course, we do have to recognize one player in particular as our player of the series, and that's going to be Ryu here. No surprise. From Syndra to LeBlanc to Orianna, he had big plays on all three.
Yeah, he literally single-handedly saved their early game first game, and he saved their late game third game, and the second game he just split and created so much pressure. I think that this guy played a monster series, and he's been very unassuming throughout the year, I think. Outside the very first weeks, he hasn't been like, wow, that guy made a huge play, but today he had an amazing series.
Every single game, he was putting the carry in mid lane. Really, really well deserved from him.
Well, and that's the thing. If we go back to Jat's point there where he was talking to Inori about what, when you came into Phoenix One, you were the carry. Well, now you've got these two imports, Ryu and Arrow, who can 100% serve as carries across pretty much all stages of the game. It's an interesting dynamic for an aggressive jungler like Inori to have to sometimes take a back seat to that, but it does open, or at least feels like it opens up so many more options for P1 strategically as they move forward.
Yeah, for instance, they used to always bring in Meteos, have them play front line so that their top lane can get enabled to play more bruiser style. And this game, it felt like, although they had top lane tanks for 2 of the 3 games. The third game, he was able to play Fizz, which is more bruiser oriented. So even with a Kha'Zix, which may not be ideal, they were still able to play around it.
Yeah, I think it is important because one of the best things about Zig that we keep on talking about is his versatility.
Right.
And if your jungler is not versatile also to play the other half, then it really does limit that top laner. And it's really good to see both of them shine.
Versatility is going to come in handy, too, from Zig if he's going up against a possible 2 different top laners next week in C9. With their win today, Phoenix One will move on to the semifinals against C9 due to dynamic seeding, which means the winner of tomorrow's matchup between Counterlogic Gaming and FlyQuest will face TSM. Now, looking ahead to next week's showdown between Cloud9 and Phoenix One, standing in P1's way is C9's deadly top laners.
Definitely their top laners. Also, their bottom laners, I feel like. Because we talk about bottom lanes being able to punish. The Smoothie and Sneaky have been really, really good as a duo. Not to mention, actually, we're just going to name all the lanes now, I guess.
Yeah.
As great as Ryu was, Jensen is a different, we talk about levels of NA mid laners. Jensen Bjergsen is kind of a different one. So
right. We'll dive into more of the matchups in just a second.
I ruined your
I know, it's all right, it's all right. But no, speaking of the top laners, our duo team had the opportunity to speak with them and build a piece around them. Take a look.
스크림이라든지 경기를 하고 있을 때 약간 실수가 나오면 좀 약간 걱정되긴 해요. 아, 이거는 만약 임팩트 형이었으면은 이거 되게 잘 대처를 했을 텐데. 임팩트 형이 되게 독보적이잖아요, 위치가.
All right, now you can talk, Kobe.
Yeah, nice promo there. But to me, the top laners are actually the least lane that I would highlight for that one. it would be the Jensen lane as well as the bottom lane potential to punish there.
Right. I think there'll be huge questions around Jensen's ability to rein Ryu in, given the performances that we saw out of Ryu today. Again, the expectation across the season is that Arrow will be a top performer, but given that we saw them lose the 2v2 to Sneaky Smoothie just last week, I feel like C9 will be confident in that lane. It's all about the mid lane focus, and can contracts maybe help, rein Ryu in along with Jensen?
Yep, I'm interested in the bot lane matchup and especially the jungle matchup. Like, sure, Inori had a pretty good series today, like way better than I expected or expectations coming in. But Contracts has kind of also had improvement throughout the later half of the season, and I think that it'll be interesting seeing the two match up because I don't know if necessarily they're both like top 3 in their position, but they both should be about kind of midway.
I know you don't want to talk about the top laners, but I just looked in the prompter and I have to say one more thing about them, so just hold back, Toby. You can catch the premiere of the newest episode of Duos this Tuesday, April 11th. You'll learn a lot about Impact and Raid. That's going to do it for the broadcast today. Clearly, we need some rest or something like that. So on behalf of myself, the casters, and the entire live broadcast crew, thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Those top laners, though.
Those top laners, though.